And I am a level 3 creative media student at Barnet College. For my idea, I decided to do a comedy based on a man trying to do a presentation to a group of executive business people. Well, he thinks he's delivering it to executives. Actually, he's just delivering it to a bunch of business people that have nothing to do with what he wants. So he spends time developing this presentation, but what happens is he has an argument with his dog in which he gets super angry and for something it is ridiculous, but he takes the wrong USB which has his joke presentation in which he made to have a laugh. So by the time he gets there, he's tired and late, so he goes in and he puts his presentation on, and it turns out it's not really his presentation, it's a joke thing, and it's not what he wants. It's pretty much just the presentation he doesn't want to deliver to these people, and he has to improvise in order to get it right. Anyway, that is pretty much the gist of my idea. It's going to a target audience. And for my target audience is like young people 18 to like 16 to 34 age group. I mean, quite. So in order to better understand this youth market, I decided to look into what they watch on TV and stuff. And it turns out quite a lot of young people do watch E4, which shows like Big Bang Theory and Tattoo Fixes, and also Made in Essex, and Made in Chelsea. Only Ways in Essex and Made in Chelsea, which I don't really like those shows, but that's not important. I also looked at BBC Three, which has recently actually moved online to show all this stuff. I mean, they put online because a lot of young people spend most time online, and that is quite interesting in fact. The move online was recent and was actually only last year, and basically quite a lot of stuff happened. I have like a commitment to trying new things, so there's a lot of new comedies and a lot of new dramas, all on BBC Three, that all relate to basically the same people, basically young people, and that's it really. This kind of relates to my own project because that is a comedy and it wants to a lot of young people that actually audience, and I know where my audience is, so I know where to go and put my video which is going to help me in the long run. Let's move on to my primary research. And for my primary research, I looked at what people's favourite comedy subgenre is, and quite a lot of people like sitcom and black comedy, which is actually interesting because those are the big ones. These are the two I know most about. There are loads of sitcoms on TV. Big Bang Theory, as I said. Other ones that don't spring to mind right now. Friends is one, which is an old one, but people still watch it. Yeah, it's interesting that people like sitcoms because they're situational comedy, and which is actually interesting because my thing is sort of an awkward situation, which puts my situational comedy as my character's put in an awkward situation in which he can't get out of, which is actually a interesting way of thinking about it. As you see, there's loads of reasons to watch my film, and quite a lot of people who did my survey actually enjoy comedy sketches. Not that many people didn't. Actually, if you look there, it actually only says one person didn't like it. Well, that's just one person. Compared to the 22 people that do like it, there's nothing you can do about that one person. That one person is just not going to like my film. I don't need to look at that one person. I'm going to focus on the 22 people that do. And also, loads of people like The Office, which is interesting because, well, not like they've seen Office, which is You see, quite a lot of people have seen the UK version. Some people have seen the US, but more people have not seen any of them than the US, which is interesting. I'm guessing most people have seen the UK version because we're in the UK, and that is how they have seen that. Yeah, loads of people think my idea will be actually interesting and funny to them, which is brilliant, as now I know that my idea is good and will find people fun, and people will find it funny. However, some people are not exactly sure, which means I'm gonna have to look into what actually makes them laugh, which is why I looked into their sense of humour. And it says quick-witted, sarcastic, quite dark. That's one person, which is interesting. Something weird and original. That's brilliant. Slapstick. It ranges very differently, as it seems that loads of people have different ways of looking at their sense of humour, which I kind of find interesting. Because now I can look into all these types of humours and find out which one best suits my film and which one I should be looking at. Now let's look at my visual research. Now let's go down to... Now, how I said I looked at the office. Since people looked at the office, I decided to actually go into the office and look more at what people in the office do. The office has loads of great presentations to look at, which I find a brilliant way to show. I mean, so many people who do the office have this presentation. I mean, in presentations, most time they have straight faces, which is actually a lot funnier than having a goofy face and goofing up, which is really interesting to me, and I think I could incorporate that into my film. I also looked at what makes a good presentation. As you see, light wear coloured shirt, this is what they should wear, and there's quite that's smart casual, but what you shouldn't wear is what that guy's wearing. Sandals where you can see his toes. No one wants to see your toes when you're doing a presentation. You shouldn't be hunched over, as that is just something you don't want to do. So that is really what you don't want to do. And so, knowing what I don't want to do and what you should do, I know that I want to do what I don't want to do in order to make my film funnier than it already appears to be, and work in that way. Anyways, move on to ideas and development. Well, actually, I've got a lot of things that worked for my ideas and development. Let's look at my film to see. Well, at the start of my film, I really had just a presentation, but as I developed my ideas, I decided to develop more of a structure. So what we have here is what appears to be the version of it. This is scene 1. This scene did not exist on my original plan, because this was created from loads of input and stuff. I decided to have a very bad situation at the start to make it seem a lot easier to understand why it gets harder towards the end. And so the audience has more sympathy for my character than if he just showed up and acted like a goof and just did terrible. No one would have any sympathy, and they would just not really care about him at all, which makes me feel kind of sad, because they don't care about him. They're not exactly gonna, like, he deserves it, and they're not really gonna like it as much as they could, which is interesting. Which is actually the reason I did this, adding more stuff. It started off with just being slang, but I decided to create a bigger story and also go further into it and add stuff like, what is this kite mark capable of? I added...
You do that!
This. I added this bit. Wait. Yeah, I added this bit to give you more in depth of what's in this guy's head, which makes the audience think, wait, is this guy stalking his ex? Maybe, maybe not, we don't know, we're not told, all we see is this, which makes us think this guy's having a tough time dealing with something situated, and sort of gets a bigger scope to what this film is. So, what were my production outcomes? Well, pretty much I hoped to achieve was to create a successful B movie in which entertains loads of people, which made them have a great and fun time in which they could be just happy and enjoy themselves, which is pretty much what I did, I think. I think I really have made loads of people who watch my film enjoy watching it and not be bored to death. Anyway, so in summary, my film is basically a comedy about a man who decided to go and do an awkward presentation but had loads of baggage which causes him problems in the future. I did loads of research on this, such as the demographics of YouTube, BBC Three, E4, and primary research to understand what my audience are thinking, and loads of visual research about presentations and other awkward presentations in it. So, anyway, I've been Ryan Hood. I hope this was a fun I hope this